JB here, Tuesday, April 15th, tax day, about 3:15, 45 minutes to close. Talk quick about the market, some of the names I'm looking at, go from there. Not much to talk about, to be honest. It's been another chop fest. Uh, it's I guess you can call today Premium Crush Tuesday. That's kind of what it feels like. Um, I mean, good thing, another tight trading range. So I put the list up earlier. I mean, it was just less than a week ago that we were trading in extremely wide ranges on the S&P, and now we are, uh, I wouldn't call it back to normal, but today's 0.91%, yesterday 1.8%, Friday 3%, the Thursday before 4%, and 9% last Wednesday when we had that news. So uh, the bad thing with that is as the volatility kind of creeps out and the VIX is down, we down, yeah, 6% here today, despite the S&P being red or just went into the green. It just the premiums on options just get destroyed on the weekly strikes and further out, but obviously the weekly strike's more sensitive. And then you also have to think today is kind of like a Wednesday because markets are closed on Friday. So it just, yeah, it's just not fun. So thankfully, not too aggressive yesterday, not too aggressive today. Some of the trades I was looking to take on, thankfully, I was looking to get some further out strikes on First Solar. Uh, Thankfully, didn't get those, and I'll just be nimble, keep things small, and when I see opportunities that I think have higher conviction on, I'll certainly be aggressive there. But for now, it just doesn't make sense to nibble stuff. I was looking at some of the big. You take a look at some of the Mag 7 names down. Google, Amazon's down nearly 2%, and you look at the put premiums, and it's like even if you would have to nail those perfectly, and get the puts at the open or right at the highs just to make like 40 or 50% on a 2% move. It's just not the risk reward that I like to do on options, right? And then another example, right? So if you got the First Solar puts today, uh, I got the calls on Friday. I was able to make 100% on Monday within 24, well, not 24 hours technically speaking, but from Friday to Monday. Today it was down almost 4% of times, down to 126, and the puts were up 40, 50%. If you had to time it right. So to me, again, not the risk reward on either side of the tape. So we'll have to see how things play out here. Tomorrow we have Fed Chair Powell 1:30 at the Chicago Economic. I forget the exact wording of it, but that'll be streamed. I have to think that's going to be very important. ASML earnings, they'll actually come out overnight. Uh, that has moved markets, or especially in the semi sector, Nvidia. Well, um, just all the semis as a whole, especially the ones sensitive to that, because that's the name that makes the machines, right? So last 2 quarters, it's been rough, and they've issued some decent but weak guidance. Decent numbers, but weak guidance. They did that back to back. So maybe this is the shift that they took. They've been cautious, and now they can be maybe a little more optimistic. Obviously, in the face of tariffs, that you find that might be difficult. But if they do surprise, I could see that kind of pushing markets. Then we have TSM reports Thursday morning, and then after the close on Thursday will be Netflix, which is kind of like a non-event. And then earnings will start to pick up. And like I was saying on the rant this morning, the commentary around the economy and how kind of the outlooks, I think that's going to be more important than any earnings beat right now, because the uncertainty of what quarter two looks like, which is the quarter we're in right now. it the numbers we're looking at now are backward looking numbers without all this craziness with the tariffs and all the uncertainty. So certainly interesting to hear how some of the commentary goes. And then once we start getting more of the tech names, and Netflix will be the kind of the first in the tech space, but I don't know if they're going to have much impact, right? Like I was saying this morning, and Wall Street Journal came out too, just kind of reiterating what I said a couple of weeks ago. Like I'm not saying they're immune to a recession, but they certainly could probably weather it better than most, even with ad spend coming down, right? Because their bread and butter it wasn't like their business was created based on ad revenue, right? I mean, they weren't the Google of the world. That's how, so that's like a growing addressable market for them. It wasn't before, and it's still in its well, I mean, $2 billion in revenues. It's kind of not in its infancy, but it's still a huge opportunity for them. So even if advertiser spend came down, I don't think it hurts them that. But all right, so that's kind of the overall market. I put on the watch list this morning that I think it's 548 was the big spot. That was the gap, and the gap down from Wednesday into Thursday after the tariff announcement. Also, that was like the last Friday lows before that. So that's a big spot if we do find a rally between tomorrow and Thursday. And then on the flip side, 537, which we kind of held like a champ here today, and then down to 534, which we hit yesterday. Under 534, I'd probably get some SQQ calls. And SQQ as well. You take a look, both sides. The calls and the puts are red today. And I mean, it is flat, so you would think, but they're both down 40 or 50%. So timing that, you would have to be in and out. It's like sometimes making a trade is making money, right? Because you're not losing money on a trade. So save it for more conviction, more lower. I mean, the good thing, volatility is coming out. So that means the premium is coming down on the calls and puts. It's just a bad situation if you're in the calls and puts and the premium is coming down and the stocks are staying flat, right? That's ingredients for getting, it's frustrating. It's like watching, it's watching an ice cube melt, right? It just disappears. Yeah, and then here's the VIX 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of the past 5 sessions from that 50 handle. We're back under 30. So that'll be a good sign if we close under that today. We're 28. I don't have my VIX up here. I just had it a second ago. 29.05. So that's down 6%. So that's a good sign. And then, it's all headline driven. So also earlier today, we had, I guess, the EU trade advisor, whatever, said that they didn't come to any kind of agreements or anything with the US. And it sounds like the US doesn't have a plan or something to that effect. So not the kind of thing you want to see, especially when, I guess the press secretary came out today saying they have 15 proposals for trade deals. I mean, who knows? They throw out numbers. I don't know how many. Is it 15? Is it 70? Is it 150? Who knows? But the EU just said that, doesn't sound like they're anywhere close to getting to any kind of deals, which there's got to be some deals happening over the next couple days. Although I just think we'll start melting lower and then selling is going to pick up and then recession concerns and worries will actually come to fruition, right? And I still am on the fence where I think that the U.S. economy is not going to head towards a recession, but it's like we're like a couple weeks away from the point of no return. And I'm hopefully, I was surprised when they came out with that tariff board, right, a couple weeks ago. So hopefully I'm not surprised again, and which would mean deals soon, right? All right, so that's kind of the overall market. So then quick individual names, GameStop just sitting here. It's barely down. It's barely in the red here. Would love to see it close in the green. That'll be three straight sessions to the upside. Also today, I think it was Bloomberg came out with a piece in regards to Ryan Cohen's recent 500,000 insider buy, $10 million transaction, saying he used margin loans. So we used some of the shares as a loan to acquire more shares, right? Which it happens a lot. And I remember back in the day, Elon Musk did that, and everybody's, oh my gosh. And then, of course, thousands of percent higher we are from where he did that. Obviously, there's risk, right? Anytime you have margin, but to me, that just shows how how high of confidence he has in the company. Anytime you have, especially the leader of the company, buy stock. And also, you take a look. I mean, what with that cash hoard as being kind of like the floor for the name. Then they did the offering. The stocks kind of bounced off of that. So I just think there's a lot to like here. Of course, I wish it was moving quicker. I'll still be patient. I'll add some more strikes soon. Thankfully, exited those 29s. Still have the May strikes. I'll lock some of those in on Friday for some nice profits too. So I'll just hold those. And then once I see an opportunity, I'll look to get to July strikes. First Solar, my calls were up nearly 200% again at the open. First Solar spiked to 134. Then it kind of languished around. It was like 132, then 131, and 132. And then once it looked like it was struggling, and then you see some of the other names in the sector showing some weakness. I didn't want to lose the rest of my profits, so I closed the last of my calls out for a small gain. Uh, I was in hindsight, I was actually looking to get 145s yesterday for next week, and those were $1, and now those are more than half off. So thankfully didn't do that. Thankfully locked the profits in. So now I can revisit. We'll see if it finds a floor here. Like I said, on the put side, even if you traded the puts, once it starts to reverse, you're only up 50% on a 3% move. And I say that's relative, right? Typically on a 3% on a weekly strike, you're up 100, 150, 200%. So I'll definitely be revisiting, especially if it shows bottoming signs, if it starts to bounce tomorrow, let's say. So definitely a name I'll continue having on radar. So that's for solar. And then Dell, Dell had on watch yesterday, gave back the gains from 89, closed out at $85. Then today started to rally, was up at 86. Then it did its typical right after the open, reversed the gains. Once it found a bottom and started to bounce, I said, oh, maybe it's going to hold today. Went and got some weekly strikes. Sure enough, that EU news comes out about a minute or two after I got the calls, and Dell did its reversal from from nearly 87 all the way down to 85 and change and 84. And now it's been chopping around. I've so many times over the years, and some of the reason why I don't typically salvage weekly positions, especially when they're 30 cents, 20 cents, 15 cents, 35 cents, whatever it is, because uh, I've so many times over the years, you whether an upgrade or some catalyst, and the ASM reports earnings tomorrow. I don't know if that'll push some of these names, uh, but to see those go up, you sell them for half, 50% off at 18 cents or whatever, and then the next day there's an upgrade or some catalyst, and the stock rallies and the calls are up, 1,000%. So I'll just hold those. I don't have many positions on right now, so it doesn't make sense to salvage and revisit or what have you, just because I still like to set up here. I was looking, 89 was the high yesterday. I thought maybe it had an opportunity to break that today, and the chart still looks nice. The stock is actually flat as a pancake right now. It's up 0.000%. If it closes green, I think you look at the chart, I think it heads over 89 bucks. Hopefully tomorrow, if not higher. And then if it's 89 tomorrow, the calls obviously will be solidly green. So I'll hold those strikes. That was kind of the thought process behind those. And then other names, unfortunately, Wayfair, after showing at least some signs that maybe it was ready to head up to 30 bucks, giving it back here today. Certainly a name I'll continue to look for some strikes. Same with Deck. Deck almost looks like it's headed back to its post tariff lows, under 100 bucks. If it gets there, I'll watch that. If it holds 98 bucks, certainly a name I'll be trading for a bounce. And then here on the flip side, I passed on adding Netflix this week only because I wanted to trade it for earnings or possibly, although, for premium build and then maybe close them before the report. And probably in hindsight, maybe I should have got some. Those calls are up 300, 400, 500% if you go up to the 1080s and above. That positive Wall Street Journal article, just the timing. It's funny. I don't know why they would come out with that before the earnings, unless to show that they have, hey, we got people on the inside who can give us info on Netflix. Uh, Again, my gut just says come Thursday after the close, they're going to report a monster beat, a monster raise, and then the stock's going to sell off. I don't know why, but I'm not going to trade it either way because I'm not convicted in it. But if I didn't think that was going to happen, I would have added calls on Monday. I think that's about it. Again, Fed Chair Powell tomorrow, 1:30, ASML earnings, TSM Thursday morning, and again, markets closed on Friday. So, all right, folks, have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.